Okay, so yesterday we talked about the NFC after 4 weeks going on five if you're the Falcons or the Bucks.
Yep.
Would you like to go ahead and start us off with the AFC?
Yep. So we're going to start in the AFC South. That's Houston, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Jacksonville. Of course, the main storylines here, Jacksonville hasn't got a win yet.
Did you see that coming, that they would be the last winless team?
No, I definitely thought it was going to be the Panthers.
100%.
The Panthers or like the Raiders maybe or something. But yeah, no, Jacksonville has been looking real bad. And Trevor Lawrence is like not looking very good.
They almost beat Houston. They didn't look terrible against Houston. Like they looked terrible against Buffalo. They had the game against Miami in the bag. They just couldn't finish it. They just kept like tripping over themselves.
And the Browns
after the Browns.
Yeah.
I think the way that game ended was like Trevor threw a Hail Mary that should have been caught and was just dropped.
Yep. Well,
and I think that was the only game that Cleveland won, was they should have lost it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like I have heard that, like, Jacksonville has a pretty high drop rate. So maybe it's not all on T-Law, but they have not been looking good. So also in that division, not looking very good, Tennessee. They do have a win, though. So
they did. They beat Miami on Monday. That was their first win of the season. They scored, like, 31,
31, yeah. Yeah. It's because they put in Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, because Will Levis, he got injured pretty early. I want to say he was making a tackle after he threw a pick.
Okay.
It might have been after the pick, but yeah, Mason Rudolph went in, and also they were playing Miami.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, those are almost like gimme wins now.
But I'm pretty sure we talked about Will Levis yesterday, but shout out to Will Levis for unintentionally being the funniest player in the NFL. Like, just this expression is the funniest shit in the world.
And of course, Hellman's Mayo corporate sponsor now. He's the Mayo
Doesn't he
man.
have like a Mayo cologne? Like, I don't know if that's a joke or if that's a real thing.
I imagine I bet Hellman's like made him one as like a like special thing for being like their spokesperson. Mm-hmm. I hope it just doesn't actually smell like mayo. So, I don't know.
It just smells like
that would be disgusting.
But
so yeah, moving on from
who have they played? Because I'm actually trying to think. Because I feel like Tennessee is one of those teams where the defense has actually played really well. And
they gave up 30 points to the Packers, 24 to the Jets, and 24 to the Bears.
To be fair, though, with the Bears, that was a pick six and a block punt.
Yeah.
So they only gave up, you say that was 24 to the Bears?
Yeah.
So it's really, they gave about 10 points to the Bears. The Packers, that was with Malik Willis. Yeah. I don't know if there were any defensive or special teams touchdowns in that game.
Malik Willis had a 5-yard run. There was a pick six.
Okay. Classic Levis.
Jair Alexander. Yeah. Yeah, Will Levis in that game, 26 of 34. It's actually not too bad of a completion rate. 260 yards, 2 tutties, but 2 picks, and one of those was returned for a touchdown. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, their defense maybe has been all right, but they just have not been doing enough on offense.
No, they're one of those teams where I feel like they're maybe a little better than their record says they are. Not offensively. Like, the offense is not good. Who was it? I think in our preseason video, I had said this about the Cardinals and the Raiders, that they're not going to get a lot of wins, but they're going to be a team that, like, you're in a dogfight every week against them kind of team.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think Tennessee is.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they're able to put up some points, then their defense does seem to be, like, holding down pretty well. And if their offense can stop giving away points, then that would probably help them out a lot too. So, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see them being better than what they are right now. Like, I mean, some of those wins could have been easily, or some of those losses could have easily been wins if they would have had better ball security, stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Mason Rudolph will spark them, and then Will Levis comes back and Will Levis again.
I mean, speaking of getting sparked by your backup QB, we got the Colts.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson was my comeback player of the year prediction, and even before the injury, like, there were
he was just a kind of mixed bag.
Very much mixed bag. Like that play against the Texans, like that damn near 70-yard fucking bomb. Like
On
it's
a roll,
incredible.
man.
And then you see him against the Bears with like a easy 5-yard completion. It's like, all right, throws a pick.
And it's like, even still, like in the game against the Texans, he was 9 of 19. That's not a good completion ratage. But on those 9 completed passes, he got 212 yards. So he was bombing it. 2 touchdowns and a pick in that one. But then the next week against the Packers, he was supremely bad. 17 of 34, so 50%, 204 yards, a touchdown, and 3 picks. So, yeah, very like up and down kind of for him. It just like doesn't feel like he's like. And again, next game, 50%, 167 yards, 2 picks, no touchdowns. They still somehow beat the Bears in that one. Running game, all running touchdowns. But yeah. So far he has not impressed. I mean, like again, he has flashes where he looks good, but
and for all intents and purposes, he's still basically in his rookie season. In terms of, like actual playing time.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, I mean, he had like an extra year to like be in the system and like develop. So you would almost expect him to still be better than a regular rookie. I mean, especially those completion percentages just feel
they're not good. Like those are really not good.
I don't know if that's like by, like, you know, like if they have like a drop pass like issue, or if he's just not making good reads and like throwing into coverage, you know, consistently. I mean, the interceptions seem to belie that he is probably making bad reads and throwing into coverage, or trying to force things, which, you know, maybe he's like feeling the pressure of, you know, having to try to be a superstar quarterback, and he's trying to like force big plays to happen. So just needs to calm down maybe. But yeah, they have not been as good as they should be either. I mean, also Jonathan Taylor has just like never really come back to being like the form of running back.
I don't remember what game it was. I think it was against the Packers, where on like one of their drives in the fourth quarter, he just like wasn't on the field, and it was still like a relatively close game, a possession or two. And why is he not there? Kind of like at the end of the game last year, when all right, we gotta have this drive to make the playoffs. It wasn't Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor was not even on. Yeah, I was just looking at some of his numbers throughout the season. It's like he hasn't been bad. In the first game, Anthony Richardson was the lead rusher with 56 yards.
36 yards?
56.
Oh, I was like, oh, wow! I mean, even 56 isn't great.
No, yeah. But game 2 against the Packers, he was 12 carries, 103 yards. That's not bad. Against the Bears, 23 carries, 110 yards, 2 tutties. I mean, it's pretty solid too.
That's good shit.
And then last week against the Steelers, it was 21 carries, 88 yards, a tutty. So a little less efficient, but
that's also against the Steelers defense.
Yeah,
so that's fair.
Yeah, so not bad. And I mean, they got the win. So yeah, I mean, honestly, he's been a little bit better than I guess I was remembering, but their quarterback play definitely has not been as consistent as they were probably hoping for.
But then Flacco.
Yeah.
And anything can happen with Flacco, man.
Sleepy Joe's in there, and he's sleepwalking them to wins. And then last but not least, of course, in this division,
they're in first place.
They're in first place, is the Texans. Their only loss being to the undefeated Vikings, but they got obliterated by them.
I think it was like 31-7 at
34-7.
That was the final score?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. C.J. Stroud in that one, 20 of 31, 215 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Sam Darnold, 17 of 28, 181 yards, 4 touchdowns. Oh, man. 181 yards is like... I mean, he only threw 17 completions, though, so I mean, that's at least over 10 yards a catch, or a completed pass, so... Not bad. And 4 touchdowns, can't argue with that.
So who is he? Okay, so far this year, Houston has beaten the Bears, which is not the most impressive win, but I mean, you only play who's on your schedule.
Yeah.
But that and
The
2
Colts.
division games, the Colts and the Jags.
Of course, the Jaguars, 0-4. And they actually needed a last-second touchdown against the Jags to win, so... yeah, in that one, Stroud, 27 of 40, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, looks a lot better.
Diggs had a rushing touchdown in that game. I think they said it was the first of his career.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Because I think the play was
like
they had pitched it to him and he was going to throw and no one was open, so he just ran it in.
Nice.
It was a pretty cool play to watch.
Wow, Nico Collins had a hell of a game. 12 catches, 151 yards, and a touchdown. He's Okay.
I don't remember if it was the game against the Bears. I think it was, where he gets hit in stride. And he just like drags a defender with him into the end zone.
Nico?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That dude is a
Like,
stud.
it's a really fun offense to watch.
T-Law actually didn't look well. His completion percentage isn't great. 18 of 33, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, at least didn't throw any picks. But yeah, the Texans have been looking pretty solid. CJ Stroud's a little more like volatile than, I mean, he's not looking as clean as he did last season. But still, I mean, 3-1 record, you can't really argue with the results. Obviously, like he said, they haven't been playing like the strongest opponents.
And the one time they did, they got
that is true. And even the ones they have beat, it's been close games. You know, the Colts 2-point game, the Bears was a 6-point game, and then the Jaguars.
Who are their next few games?
They've got the Bills next, which that'll be a tough one. The Patriots, which is a cakewalk, and then the Packers, which
I feel like that's a game that can kind of go either way.
yeah, that'll be more of a good, you know, kind of.
I mean, the Bills just
stuff.
got shell shocked too, so even the Bills game could kind of go either. Oh God, it's a Stephon Diggs going back to. Is it in Buffalo?
Let's see. No, it's at Houston.
Okay.
But no, yeah, that'll be an interesting game. I mean, the Bills trying to bounce back from that huge blowout. Maybe they have a point to prove. Who knows? But obviously, you know, Stephon's going to be playing with like a little bit of chip on his shoulder in that game too. So yeah, I think that'll be an interesting one. But yeah, the Texans are looking pretty solid, kind of where we expected them to be.
So about anything else you kind of have to say about the division?
Jacksonville's got to figure something out. And hopefully Anthony Richardson also figures stuff out and comes back. So, yeah. Other than that, let's move on to the AFC North.
Okay. Who's leading the division right now? Is that Baltimore or Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh at 3-1, then Baltimore at 2-2,
2-2.
and then Cleveland and Cincinnati are both 1-3. So, starting from the bottom, Joe Chill and the Cincinnati Bengals. I do think that their games have been like they've been playing in close ones. Again, they lost to the Chiefs by 1. That the first game of the season losing to the Patriots, that was like their big one. It was like,
and
I
called it on that video. I said, you know what? Everyone is overlooking the Patriots. I know they're not going to be a good team. The Bengals always start the season looking like shit. They never win week 1. I think maybe won a week 1 game once. So it's like they always start slow. Chase hasn't been practicing. I don't know if Higgins is even going to be able to play.
Yeah,
they are losing that game, and I was right.
Yep. And that remains the Patriots' lone win of the season.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, like a very close loss to the Chiefs, where I know the Bengals' defense has been getting a lot of shit, and that's something we talked about in our video as well. But they did not play terribly against the Chiefs. Like, they had, 2 picks? I think a third that was called back by a flag.
Yeah, they had 2 interceptions on Mahomes.
They played well in that game. They played terribly against JJNW'S. He had no turnovers, and they did not punt. He scored every time he touched the ball.
Yeah.
And that was the difference in the game, because I think even the Bengals scored every time they touched the ball, except for, kneel downs.
Yeah, I mean, that one was still a solid game. That was a really good game from both quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels, 21 of 23, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow, 29 of 38, 324 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, just solid play all around. Also, Jaden Daniels ran 12 times for 39 yards and another touchdown on the ground in that game. Yeah, 38-33, that one was a good back-and-forth one. I mean, that was just a lot of points being put up on both sides. Yeah, Bengals defense wasn't able to get enough stops there, and rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels ran all over him.
And then they beat Carolina.
Yeah, and then of course but hey, that's the Andy Dalton Panthers, so
Yep.
they are better. They didn't put up 24 points on them. So, yeah, I mean, the losses that they've had have been pretty close. I mean, even the Patriots game was only by 6. But Joe Burrow's been looking a lot better since week 1. I mean, he's still solid in week 1, but he's been looking a lot better. So their lack of success, I don't think, is on him. Maybe just got to get some stuff worked out on the defensive side, and now T. Higgins is back, so maybe they'll be playing a little bit better with full squad. They got the Ravens coming up.
And then you have Cleveland, who's kind of the opposite problem, despite the same record, where I've seen a few good plays and throws from Watson, not many.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like the defense really did their job against the Cowboys either. The Cowboys did whatever the fuck they wanted in that game.
33-17. Their only win coming against the winless Jaguars. And even that one was only 18-13, and Deshaun ran in a touchdown in that one.
There was a safety in that game. I just love seeing
right at the end.
It's just my favorite shit.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence in that one was 14 of 30 for 220 yards. Not good. Yeah, the Browns have just been like, it's like the good old day Browns. They've been not good.
The Browns is the Browns.
They lost to the Giants at home.
God, that's right. That's the Giant. I think that's their lone win of the season right now,
Yep,
right?
Malik Neighbors had 2 touchdown catches in that one.
And then against the Raiders, I believe they lost by 4
Yep.
because it was either a blocked or a missed extra point, which is why at the end of the game, they had to score a touchdown instead of kicking a field goal, and the Watson got sacked to end the game.
Yeah. Yeah. They scored in the fourth quarter with 14:50 left on a fumble return touchdown, so defensive touchdowns. And yeah, Dustin Hopkins missed the PAT, so they were down by 4. Yeah, in that game, Deshaun Watson, 24 of 32, 176 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. He, pretty sure what we were looking at, he's like the lowest in the league.
Yeah, he has the lowest QB, which, to be fair, the Dolphins don't have anybody on the list.
They don't have anyone that qualifies because they haven't had enough games.
But right above that is Deshaun Watson at 31 and Will Levis at number 30.
Yeah.
Which, again, to be fair to Deshaun Watson, the offensive line is also fucking terrible. So part of this is he has been very bad, and he was not great the last couple seasons either when he was playing.
Yeah.
Plus a terrible offensive line. That's just going to be a recipe for disaster.
So this season, he is completing 61% of his passes. He's got 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Yeah. And he is league worst 31st in QBR, 23.9. Not good. So yeah, Cleveland's probably really regretting
Buyer's remorse.
Really regretting that contract. Should have stuck it out with Bake. Look at him now. So yeah, they got the Commanders next, so that'll probably be a not good game for them either.
Maybe it'll be a game where the defense plays really well.
I don't know, Jaden Daniels.
But against Jaden Daniels,
so we'll see. That's going to be a tall order. After Cleveland, we got Baltimore, of course, at 2-2.
Baltimore has had a really kind of goofy season. Yeah. So losing to the Chiefs by Kevin Durant's shoe, and granted, even if they had made it, they were going to go for 2, and who knows what would have happened. They might have still lost it. They might have won the game there. Should have beat the Raiders and then just collapsed.
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of the Cowboys until they weren't anymore. They very, very nearly blew that like they did against the Raiders, and then just beat the shit out of the Bills. Derrick Henry had 199 yards, and I'm so mad he didn't get to 200.
I know. I was like, man, they should have tried to force like one more run or something. But
they kind of did a few times. I was like, all right, like he's getting stopped.
But yeah, they definitely have been. It's like kind of up and down. Like the game against the Chiefs, they were playing good, and like you said, they were just 1 inch of a shoe over. Man, I thought that was a touchdown too when it first happened. But yeah, that Raiders game was kind of perplexing. It was like their defense just did nothing in the second half, or in the fourth quarter. It was just like,
I mean, to be fair, neither the offense at that point.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
both sides of the ball just kind of forgot
Gardner Minshew show. Yeah, so it feels like they should probably be like 3-1 at least. Like the Chiefs game, you can still see them losing it or whatever. But in the games that they have won, they have looked good, and especially in that game against the Bills last week, that was just like total domination. So I think it seems like they're kind of getting their stuff worked out. Maybe
I would say so.
Lamar is in MVP form. Like I was looking at the splits between his stats this year and last year, and currently he's like on average, like or on par with like his averages from last season on a lot of his like stats, but he's like halved his sack rate, which is huge. So he's like playing even better this year than he was last year when he won the MVP.
Yeah, I don't think I have much else to add about that.
So yeah, I think the Ravens
on the head where it's like the last couple weeks they've looked a lot better. Although again, very nearly blew it against the Cowboys in the fourth
blew it again
quarter.
Like they did with the Raiders. So yeah, we'll have to see. The defense is maybe the one that's kind of the most iffy on that, but that turnaround game, holding the Bills to 10 points and shutting down Josh Allen, it's impressive. So maybe they've got something worked out.
And then number 1 is Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So their only loss has been to the Colts, which is a game they also almost come back and won. Yeah,
lost by 3.
I was very happy watching them week 1. That was against the Falcons.
Yeah.
So it was like that was a very satisfying game to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, their defense has been fantastic. Justin Fields is looking a lot better now that he's out of Chicago.
Yeah, he has been like not amazing, but he's been
very solid.
Yeah. Putting up good completion numbers in each week. So also he is a good runner too. Last week against the Colts, 22 of 34, 312 yards passing and a touchdown. Ran it 10 times for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So he's trying to do a little bit of everything. He's definitely been I think that they're doing better than they would have if Russell Wilson would have been the starter. I think that, who knows, but I think that Justin Fields has been pretty dynamic for them on the offensive side, and I don't think that they would have got that same production from Russell Wilson. So I think that late injury scratch for Russell Wilson might have been a little blessing in disguise maybe for the Steelers. So, but yeah, their defense has been pretty elite. We expected that. TJ Watt is a monster. They still have Minka Fitzpatrick too?
I believe so, yeah. He's still in the secondary. The big thing for me with Pittsburgh is that second half schedule. Because the first half of the season is like, all right, this is where they got most of their easy games. The second half, I think, is all 6 of their division games, and then I think Philly and Kansas City.
Yeah.
Where, with right now how Philly looks, I might pick Pittsburgh to win that game. And granted, it's not like Cleveland looks very good right now. The Bengals, while a good team, are very beatable. The Ravens, we've seen how beatable they can be, especially in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. But that's when the season gets a lot tougher for Pittsburgh. And that's when I'm like, all right, how good are you actually going to be?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll have a pretty tough end to the season to try to close it out. Like you said, last 4 weeks, it's Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. So, yeah, they'll have a pretty tough test towards the end of the season to try to, like you said, prove how playoff ready or worthy their team really is. And who knows, by that time, Russell Wilson might be back, and maybe they've slotted him back into the lineup.
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either, unless Justin Fields starts to actually do bad.
I think so. Unless he's, like, really bad or he gets injured, I think they're just going to be like, look, we're cooking right now. Yeah. Let's just go for it.
I think so, too. So, yeah, Pitt, honestly, at 3-1, I would probably more have expected them to be at 2-2 and Baltimore to be leading the division at 3-1, but not super surprising. I still am standing by that Mike Tomlin will have his first losing season this year, though.
I'm not. I think they're going to have another winning season.
It's going to happen. So after the AFC North, we went to the East, right?
East, I believe so.
Yeah, so
that's Buffalo, New England, the Jets, and the fucking Dolphins.
And then the Dolphins, yep. Of course.
Are the Dolphins or the Patriots technically at the bottom?
They're both 1-3. So it lists Miami at the bottom.
Okay.
But
it's like
let's run on top to bottom so we can talk about Miami last. Buffalo 3-1. Josh Allen's looked amazing all season. MVP caliber already. Doing everything for the team. There's obviously last week they just had no answers for what Baltimore was scheming. So
on offense or defense.
Yeah, nothing was working. So, but other than that, I mean, they've looked really good. They obliterated the Jaguars, which is like nothing really. They obliterated the Dolphins, which I'm pretty sure that's the game that knocked out Tua.
Because even before Tua got injured, they were beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And then a really close, fun game against the Cardinals.
Yeah, that week 1 shootout with the Cardinals was nice. I really liked that game. Kyler and Josh Allen both had pretty solid games in that one. But yeah. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. The Bills are the Bills. They're probably going to have a huge regular season success and then maybe be disappointing in the playoffs.
So I remember I had said, I don't think the Bills are going to make the playoffs. We'll talk about my Miami prediction here in a bit.
Yeah.
But with the way the division looks right now, I would say, I would pick the Bills to win it.
Yeah.
So I'll eat crow on that one.
Yeah.
Yes, the offense, for the most part, looks like they're still clicking. They're still playing very well. I think I heard Josh Allen say it was something along the lines of, the thing about not having a number one receiver anymore means I don't have someone I need to force feed the ball to. Like, I can spread it out a lot more. It makes the offense more dynamic.
Yeah, he said they have like an everyone eats mentality.
And you could definitely see that in the first 3 weeks. And then against Baltimore, it's like, okay, this is what happens when you don't have a number one receiver. You don't have that reliable guy you can go to when you need it.
Safety valve.
So, again, at this point, yeah, they're probably going to make the playoffs. But I don't know how deep of a run they're going to be on. Which, like I had said, as someone who picks the Bills every year to go to the fucking Super Bowl, now that I'm picking against them, they'll probably win the damn thing.
Yeah, right? It's like, I could see them maybe going to at least like the AFC Championship and then losing. But
depends on when they run into Kansas City.
I'm so tired of Kansas City. So, yeah, and unless the Jets figure something out, going to the Jets. 2-2.
And to be fair, like, they looked like shit against the Broncos. It was a game in the rain. Like, the elements are always the equalizer. You can expect that sometimes you're just not going to look good. It's hard to kick a game-winning 50-yard field goal in the fucking rain. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah, but they could not get any touchdowns. Bo Nix threw for a touchdown in that game, and Aaron Rodgers did not.
But I know we're not on the Broncos yet, but if we're on this game, I think at halftime, Bo Nix had -7 yards passing.
He only finished with 60 yards passing. He was 12 of 25 for 60 yards in the touchdown.
I think I saw his stat. It was in the first half. Like, he's 0 for 7 passing, like, 10 yards behind or beyond the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. Behind the line of scrimmage, he had no incompletions for -7 yards.
Yeah, they're doing way too many screen passes with that guy. But yeah, that was an ugly game. 10-9, just a big old not good one.
So they lost to San Francisco. They lost to a healthy San Francisco week 1.
Yep.
Which they didn't get dominated in either. Like, they put up a good fight. Beat the Titans.
Beat the Patriots.
That was a Thursday night massacre, wasn't it?
24-3, yeah. Yeah, and then they got the Vikings next, so not looking good for them. They got the Vikings, the Bills, the Steelers, and then they get the Patriots again. So pretty tough run for them. I've not been super impressed with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's been like all right, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like probably about as much as you can expect from like a 40-year-old man who's coming off of a season-ending injury
and playing behind the Jets so long.
Yeah, also true. So yeah, it's like I figured that's probably about where they would be, 2-2, having some success. Maybe they kind of get their offensive kinks worked out a little bit more the more that Aaron Rodgers is able to actually like play with the guys. So. But I don't see them taking over on Buffalo in the division. So,
do you think they'll contend for a wild card spot?
Maybe. I feel like there's just other teams in the AFC that'll probably be better. That like won't win their division, but will be better for a wild card. Like in the West, the Chargers. Probably going to be pretty solid.
And then some combination of Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, assuming they get it figured out.
Exactly. And then even Indianapolis is in the contention there. I mean, if they can get stuff going. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe. I could maybe see them getting a wild card, but it's going to be tough. I think there's going to be other teams that'll beat them out. Then New England, I don't really have much to say about
the people thought the Patriots are going to be terrible. They were right.
Yeah,
the offensive line is not good. From what I understand, it sounds like the reason Drake May isn't playing, partly it's let's put the vet in, let's give the kid like some time to learn and develop, and also he cannot develop and learn if we put him behind our offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, he would just be getting obliterated every week, knocked out, and getting potentially injured, so you would just be really, really putting him into the gauntlet there for almost no benefit, you know? I definitely understand the reasons for wanting to keep him off the field, but they are not looking good. They haven't had they almost beat the Seahawks. They went to overtime with them. But then since then, they've been very bad. And it's going to be a pillow fight this weekend with the Dolphins to see who can score the least points.
I think with the way the Dolphins have been looking, I would pick the Patriots in that game.
Yeah, honestly. Which that's a perfect transition. Let's just go ahead and start talking about Miami.
Okay, so I'll take the lead here because I'm the one that said they were going to get the 1 seed in the AFC. I do not feel bad about that pick in hindsight. It's not like with the Vikings because this is about an injury.
Yeah.
This is Tua got injured without their starting quarterback. They have no offense, and granted, that's on them for not having a serviceable backup.
And especially knowing Tua's injury history, why did they not make that a priority? Why did they not go and secure one of the more elite backup,
like Flacco?
Yeah,
like they could have probably gotten Flacco, and they would have been fine right now.
Go and get Zach Wilson.
They still can. They can still get Zach Wilson, who can lead them to the promised land.
He's got OBJ to throw to now, and
Is OBJ on the Dolphins?
Yeah, he's been on there since the beginning of the season. He was on the PUP list. Yeah, so he got activated this week. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, overall, the Fins have been very bad since Tua went down. And then even before, I mean, they were doing pretty good before he went. But in that game against the Bills,
that's the thing, because they didn't do well in that game. They had to come back. Here's a weird fucking stat. The Dolphins are 1-3. They have not led in regulation at any point in any of their games.
Yeah, because the game they won was overtime.
Well, because they kicked a last-second field goal, like, as time expired.
So they
were never technically leading in that game, and the other 3 games never led once.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously, again, their quarterback situation is the entire issue. I mean, I'm pretty sure they've also had injury. I think Devin Achane got injured, too.
I think he did. I think Mostert's out, too.
Yeah, so they've been
I don't know how banged up the defense is.
I don't know either, but they've obviously not been good enough to try to win games for him, so... and, I mean, the Titans put up 31 points on them. So the defense is probably not super great.
Did you also see the weird shit on Monday night with the onside kick?
Huh.
Okay, so apparently with the new weird kickoff rules, with an onside kick, not only do you have to declare it, and it's also, you can only do it in the fourth quarter, you can only do it if you're losing. There's like a landing zone where if the onside kick travels too far, you can't recover it. Because they recovered their own onside kick. And then I think you see like a Titans coach running out into the field being like, what the fuck? Like, why didn't you guys recover the damn ball? And then the ref's like, yeah, the ball traveled too far, so it was an illegal recovery by Miami. So we're going to enforce the kickoff, or like the penalty from the 20-yard line. So the Titans started at like the Dolphins' 10. And then on fourth and goal, with like 30 seconds left, they're like, fuck it, we're winning anyways, let's just run for a touchdown. Yeah, your reaction is exactly right. It was fucking weird. It made no sense. Yeah, it's a stupid rule.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the new kickoff rule. Like, I mean, there has been some like cool returns and stuff or whatever.
We got a touchdown week 1 with the Cardinals.
Yeah. But overall, it's just kind of strange. I don't know. And especially with the onside thing, that just sounds really fucking weird. So, yeah, the Dolphins. Last thing that I wanted to touch on is just whether or not Tua should even come back. This is now his 3rd concussion, and
it's like 3rd or 4th.
Well, because he had one in college too in the last season.
Okay,
of college,
then it's got to be like 4th.
Because I think he's had 3 in the NFL. Because he had 2 last season. He had the one that they tried to rush him back from and didn't really like clear.
No,
him.
I don't think it was last season. It was the season before. Because last season he was fine.
Oh, okay.
But then it was the one where he got fucked up, and then there was the one against the Bengals.
Because the one he got messed up, and they took him out for like part of that game, I think. But then he came back. Mm-hmm. And they said he didn't have a concussion, I think.
There was that, and like he looked concussed. And then I think it was the next game on Thursday night or the week
that's
after.
The one that he got like knocked out. Like,
yeah, that was the bad
he did
one.
Like the like
which I
hand
think
thing.
he did.
He did
also
on the most
against
recent
the Bills.
one. Yeah, he did they call it fencer's pose or whatever, which is an indicator of traumatic brain injury. So it's like 2 times now on the field that we've seen that guy get hit so hard that his brain is like signaling like traumatic brain injury. And like the more concussions that you get, the more prone you are to concussions. So it's only going to get worse for him if he comes back. And it's unfortunate because he's so young and he's talented. But it's just like one of the things I don't know that he should.
I don't think he should.
Like
at this point, I don't think so.
He got a decent contract, so hopefully he like made enough money to take care of himself. Or maybe Miami, I saw somebody online talking about like Miami should restructure Tua's contract to like be like 20 years in length, but only pay him like, like $1 million or $2 million a year, something like that, or like whatever his like contract was for. Yeah, so that way he's like taken care of for life. And I was like, that would be neat. Give him like a Bobby Bonilla contract.
I think I saw Mike McDaniels like the day or two after the game when he was asked about it. Essentially, what he's trying to say is like I'm genuinely not able to comment on this because like with my position, there's things I can't really say.
Yeah.
But the line I remember, he's like, I was telling Tua that you are the starting quarterback of your family and of your life, which felt like as much as possible to say you can't do this.
Yeah, you need to do what's right for your life in the long term. Yeah, it's tough, and no, obviously it would be super hard. Obviously, someone who's like trained their whole life for a sport, and he's like what in his fourth season?
Fifth, something like that.
It's like still super young.
Okay,
he's like 28, I think.
Burrow was injured. Super Bowl. I think this is his fifth season.
Fifth?
Yeah, because I drafted in 2020.
Okay. So yeah, still super young. So I mean, rough to see someone like that have to walk away from the game, but ultimately, I think it would be the best decision for him. I think it would just be really, really hard to see him come back and then get knocked out again. So yeah, Miami. Unfortunately, this season seems a little shot. Again, if Tua tries to come back this season, I would be shocked. But we will see.
Now leaves the AFC West.
And the most annoying team in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs.
So do you want to start with...
Yeah, let's just start with Kansas City. No, we'll end with Kansas City. They deserve to go last. Kansas City, the Chargers, the Raiders,
and the Broncos. Are we start with the Broncos?
Yeah, we'll start with the Broncos.
2-2, and you know what that means? My crazy ass, stupid fucking prediction of them making the playoffs is a possibility. It can still happen. And you know why I said it? One, because I'm an idiot with a gut feeling. But two, they have a good defense.
Yep.
And the defense has not given up a whole lot of points. It was a very low-scoring defensive game against the Steelers, which they lost. A shitty game in the elements, but they did not give up a lot of points against the Jets. Did not give up a lot of points against the Bucks, and they're like the only team to play a really good defensive game against the Bucks. And against the Seahawks, I think they gave up like 26, 24, something like that. That's, I think, the most amount of points they've given up all season. Now, does their offense look good?
Oh,
no. Does Bo Nix look good? No. He had -7 passing in the first half.
Only finished with 60.
But it's kind of like what we were just saying about Miami a little bit ago. They're a team where the offense looks terrible, the quarterback does not look good, but the defense is good enough to keep them in games and win them some games. Miami's isn't. Denver, it could happen. And like we were saying the other day, maybe they get to a point where they're like, all right, Zach, let's see what you can do. And now that he's away from the Jets and he has like
he'll have his Geno
Smith, Sam Darnold arc, and we will get to see Zach Wilson ball out.
I don't see that happening.
No, I honestly I don't either, but I want it to happen.
I do want to share I saw a couple of these things talking about Denver's defense is statistically in the top 4 in most categories. But their offense, by contrast, is tied for last in the league with 4 offensive touchdowns. They are
so bad.
27th in total offense at 266 yards per game, 27th in passing at 159 yards per game, 31st in third down conversion rate at only 24.6%. That's so sad. Third down, you get 1 in 4. And tied for last in percentage of touchdowns scored on red zone drives, which is 33%. So they get to the red zone and only 1/3 of the time it ends in a touchdown. Sean Payton, it says, has been critical of the run game all season, but their run game is averaging 106.3 yards per game, which is actually 20th in the league. So that's actually their best part of their offense. Yeah. So, tale of two sides of the ball there. Their defense has been really, really elite. Their offense has been really, really shit.
So the first time Denver got carried by a good defense.
They need to try to see if they can get 5-head Peyton Manning to come out of retirement and take this team to the Super Bowl. So yeah, moving on to Las Vegas and the Gardner Minshew show.
So I know they've got some missing pieces on defense. I think Crosby has been injured for a couple games.
Yeah. Pretty sure Devontae Adams is scratched for this next game too.
Oh, he's trying to get out.
Yeah.
The Saints could actually get Devontae Adams. I don't know what we'd have to give up, which makes me kind of scared.
You know who I would be really interested to see get him?
Buffalo?
The Commanders. Their number one receiver right now is Terry McLaurin.
He's a very good receiver.
Yeah, he's a solid receiver.
Fantastic.
But, he could be a number one. I think he is good enough to be a number one. But, man, having someone like Devontae Adams there across from McLaurin and having McLaurin as, your number two, woo, that would be crazy.
I would love to see him in Buffalo. Here's our number one receiver now that we've got.
Both of them make sense. But, man, I just want to... Jaden Daniels has been so good. I just want to see him do more. But yeah, so
I don't have much to say about the Raiders. I'm not as familiar with their season. I'm sorry, Raiders fans.
Yeah, no.
But we did watch the end of that game against the Ravens, where
that is true.
At one point we were like, yeah, all right, it looks like Baltimore's going to be able to cruise. They're done, and then oh shit,
yeah,
never mind. Good job,
all
Raiders.
Of a sudden, the Raiders were like, oh, here's how you play offense.
And then, of course, in classic Raiders fashion, have a big comeback win against a really good team, and then they host Carolina and get fucking hosed.
Yep.
Now, it wasn't Bryce Young, it was Andy Dalton.
Dalton comes in and throws for 319 yards and 3 tutties. 36-22. Yeah, they just crushed him. Week one was
it was like
33,
36-7 at one point. They were, again, a very injured defense at the time, but...
Yeah, and so far on the season, let's see. Minshew hasn't looked terrible in a lot of these stat lines. Like in the Carolina game, he was 18-28, 214 yards, touchdown and a pick. It's like, and their win against the Browns last week, they're pretty mediocre, 14-24 for 130 yards. But they got the win. But then in the first couple weeks, he looked like he was pretty decent. 25-33, 257 yards, touchdown and a pick. Looks like he's been turning it over a decent amount. Looks like there's picks in almost every game, yeah. 30-38, 276 yards, touchdown and a pick.
Who's the league leader right now in interceptions?
Let's see. Any guesses?
Off the top of my head, I was going to say T-Law. I think we were seeing the other that Josh Allen hasn't thrown a pick yet.
Yeah, Josh Allen has not. Who were we were just talking about someone earlier that was they had multi-pick games or whatever.
It might have been Watson.
Yeah, I think it was. Was it?
I think he has a pick in every game. That sounds right. I'm not sure. Oh no, it was Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
because he was it was 2 picks
throwing the ball all over the field. Come on now. Oh, that's showing 2023. Sam Howell threw the most last year. Patrick Mahomes actually threw the second most last year.
He's thrown a lot this year, too.
He has.
Mahomes, I guess we'll get to the Chiefs in a bit.
Where is, a current one? Show me... Stat News is the worst. That's what it is. Let's see if I can pull it up. Interceptions. Kirk Cousins has 5. Oh, no, here we go. Will Levis and Anthony Richardson both have 6.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins and Patty Mahomes both have 5. So those are the top 4. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys tied at 4. That's Geno Smith, Goff, Jordan Love, Hurts, Nix, and Caleb Williams.
Oh, damn. Trevor Lawrence isn't even that high on the list. My bad, Trevor.
T-Law has only got 1 this year.
Oh, yeah, damn. So who hasn't thrown it? So you're saying Josh Allen. Is he the only one?
With considerable passes, yeah. Skylar Thompson, the backup for Miami, hasn't thrown one. Joe Flacco hasn't thrown one. Yeah. So most of the other guys don't have very many attempts. Stephon Diggs hasn't thrown an interception.
All right, so ready for the Chargers?
Yeah.
So that was another one of my. I don't feel like it was a super bold prediction, but it was up there. I said the Chargers were going to win the AFC West. They started 2-0. Now they're 2-2.
And the Chiefs have somehow.
It was a very winnable game against the Chiefs, but they weren't able to pull it off. They no longer control their own destiny because they are now 2 games behind Kansas City, and they only play them once.
Yep.
I think they still don't look like a bad team. I feel like they can still definitely be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have the pieces there. I mean, J.K. Dobbins is like the leading rusher in the NFL, I think, right now, at least by yards per carry. I think he has the most.
Do you remember, like we saw something like that the other day, where it's like 7.6 or some shit yards per carry.
It's
really
over
good.
6 at least, something like that. He's been killing it, coming off of an injury too. 2 major injuries. He was like out for like 3 seasons or something like that. People that said that they didn't think he was going to even come back. So that's a good comeback story. Justin Herbert has looked all right, but just not quite as like explosive as or like
But it's not like he's got a lot of like dudes that
Yeah.
he's throwing to.
Yeah, their receiving core is just not very good. Like Quentin Johnston,
I think is their number one.
yeah, is like their number one option, and like he's like only a second or third year guy.
I think second year.
Yeah, so super. And they got Ladd McConkey, who's a rookie.
I'm sorry. I watched a lot of the Rich Eisen show, and they had Keegan-Michael Key on like a few weeks ago, and he was doing the substitute teacher bit, and so reading it is Ladidi.
Yeah, Ladidi.
It like killed me.
Ladidi McKinkey. But no, yeah, they just don't have very many good receiving options. I think they need to maybe they go after Devontae. That would be gnarly.
That's in the division though.
It'd be tough to try to pull that one. You'd have to give up a lot.
I've seen people be like, "Hey, Kansas City really needs a receiver." Like, I know they do, but they're not getting it from the Raiders.
No freaking way. Yeah, and Rashee Rice going down. Oh, we'll just transition. I mean, I don't have much more to say about the Chargers anyway. I think they're doing all right, and it looks like Harbaugh's doing well. Transitioning, getting back into the pro game. So I think that they'll be all right. I think that they have a good shot for a wild card slot. But then, last and least, I hate them. Don't want to talk about the Chiefs. So annoying. They're 4-0. They shouldn't be. They've every game has been a one score game, and somehow they've ended up on the right side of the scoreboard every time.
Who'd they play
Refs.
week 3? It was the Ravens, the Bengals. Last week was the Chargers.
Let's see.
The Steelers. No, because the Steelers, I think, played Denver.
My
week
phone
3.
will work. ESPN app is just messing
It
up.
was an NFC team. I don't think so. Yeah, I'm completely blanking.
Kansas City. They played the Falcons.
Oh, it was an NFC team. What was the score?
22-17.
Oh, that's right. That was the Sunday night game. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And whatever. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. They've been finding ways to win. Rashee Rice is out now, though, so they'll have to try to figure something else out.
Did you see the play?
Yeah, where Patrick basically took him out.
Took him out.
Yeah, I know. And it was like with one of those terrible fucking quarterback tackles where he turns his back and tries to throw it at him. And it's this is what you get for not looking where you're just launching your body. Hyperextended the dude's knee.
But he's out. Hollywood Brown has been out all season. Pacheco is on IR. Kelsey hasn't done shit all season.
He's too busy with Taylor.
And kind of like you were saying, it doesn't matter. They're still 4-0. The defense has been playing well. Mahomes is always able to do enough.
Yep.
They do get a lot of calls. They're going to lose to the Saints because the Saints have to get me excited so that way they can truly disappoint.
Come on, New Orleans. Give them their first loss. I want them to lose.
It's going to happen because now that I'm at a point where I'm like, the Saints are mediocre. They ain't going to do shit. They have to do something to get me to believe.
Yeah.
It's like clockwork.
Yeah. But the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Hopefully they collapse. We'll see. Again, with Rashee Rice being out and them having to try to figure some other stuff out on offense, it's going to be a little bit tougher for him. So maybe the Saints can knock him off. But we'll be watching those games here tomorrow. And then we'll see kind of here in the next few weeks or whatever how our predictions have been progressing. And then I think in our next one, you said we're going to try to maybe look back and see if there's
That's
any,
when we'll be like, all right, do we want to make any mulligans?
Yeah. Miami being the number 1 seed.
Yeah! I'm probably going to change that.
Yeah. I want to go back, too. I'll have to look and see who we made for predictions for the yearly awards.
Okay, off the top of my head, I think I had said Josh Allen as Offensive Player of the Year and Josh Allen as Defensive Player of the Year. It's like, that's kind of funny. I'm going to do that. I think I said Herbert for MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Harrison for Offensive Rookie.
I think I said Harrison, and I think that maybe we both said Dallas Turner.
I think it was Dallas Turner for Defensive Rookie.
Which he has not been really doing anything.
Who did I have for Coach of the Year? That one I don't remember.
Yeah.
I might have said Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Comeback Player of the Year, I know I said Anthony Richardson. Is there an award I'm forgetting?
Defensive Player of the Year. Oh, no, you said Josh Allen.
Yeah.
That's right. No, yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, we'll have to go back and see. I know, I think I said Micah Parsons for Defensive Player of the Year, and he's been okay.
That's because I remember you're like, I think Mike
He's
is going
gonna
to
break the sack record.
I was like, you got to pick him for Defensive Player if he's doing that.
I don't think that's going to happen now. But yeah. So yeah, we'll go back and talk about some of those predictions and see how off base we ended up being. But yeah. That's about it for the AFC.
That's about it. So we'll see you in a few weeks.